This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Talk to me a little bit about, your attitude towards wrestling and how maybe it changed, because we've talked a little bit about big guys or big time talents who probably could have performed on a bigger stage. A guy like Bullet Bob comes to mind. I mean, he could have been a much bigger national star, but he wanted to be close to home. And your old pal, Mr. Stubbs, he sort of felt the same way based on your testimony. But you eventually have to make a decision. Do you not? I mean, do you want to be a local guy and do okay? Or do you really want to swing for the fences and try to see how far you can take this thing? Is that really what motivates you to make that trip to Pittsburgh rather than scooting over to Columbia?
If you didn't want to be in the main event in the biggest company in the world, or the second biggest company in the world, or as you're making your way to the biggest company in the world, whichever one you happen to be working for, if you don't want to be on last, you don't want to be figured in the main event, and if you don't want to have a bearing on the success of the company, then you probably ought to find something else to do. Now, keep in mind, Bob Armstrong and the Fullers and Jimmy Golden and Jerry Stubbs, all those guys had decided in their mind, hey, I can make, plus they had, here's the key thing, Conrad, they had points, except for Jerry. When you got points in the company, let me see now, when I want to go to Charlotte, which is rebuilding, maybe make 60, 70 grand, or would I want to stay right here in Pensacola and make 70 grand and travel 800 miles a week? And a lot of them, because they were, they all bought homes, they all put their kids in school. All the Armstrongs went through Gulf Breeze, school system. And it's just a heavenly life. But if you're a young single guy, like I was at the time, which has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that I don't have kids at home and a wife yet and all those responsibilities, all I had to do was learn the business. I could just concentrate on the business. And in those days, it was very important because you were working with guys you'd never worked with. You were going to towns you'd never been to, and people, different towns perceived you different ways. And everything was a challenge, but every day was fresh and brand new too. And that's the way I looked at it. And the travel didn't bother me. It was just, I knew the difference.
Let's talk about the match on this same show. Ole and Arn are going to defeat the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion Denny Brown and George South. 1 minute, 28 seconds. South is going to submit to Ole's standing armbar. Boy, simpler times. Haven't spent a lot of time talking about George South. I'm sure you've got some fun George South stories you can share.
Well, just George is still at it.
Yeah.
George still wrestles on the weekend, right?
Yeah, he does. And wherever he is right now, I'm sure he's listening to, what's that band he loves? Oh man, Journey. He's got a Journey CD in his car. I'm sure of it. Guaranteed.
You didn't know who Journey was?
Well, I tried to think of the band because I was like, is it Styx? I knew he had a favorite band and I wasn't sure if it was Styx or Journey. I know for sure it's Journey because I was like, oh yeah, Don't Stop Believing. That's his favorite.
Yeah, I like Journey too. Good, George.
But again, though, here's my thing. The rumor and innuendo is he's the type of guy who'd go to the Waffle House, go over to the jukebox, put $10 in, and just play Don't Stop Believing 15 times in a row. And I like the song, but about time number 3 or 4 in a row, I'm starting to think, all right, what's going on? Is this a rib? What's happening?
Number one, I bet you George is thrifty.
Well, that's a fair bet.
And I bet he didn't put $10 in the machine. He had one of the jabronis that was driving him put the $10 in, and it came out of his payoff for the night.
That's wrestling.
Okay. Let's be clear about that. If you told George South he needed to put $10 into anything, he'd probably have a heart attack. But I respect that. George has been around. is a tremendous hand in the ring. I bet he can still go to this day.
Oh yeah.
And guys like him and Mike Jackson just defy age.
And Ricky Morton. Ricky, how's that possible?
Well, Ricky and Robert, for God's sakes, of course. I mean, they're working on 40 years as partners if they're not already there.
It's unbelievable.
And they've never had you've never had like a year where they didn't wrestle.
No.
Time off. They've been going pretty much steady the entire time. Now they're training guys, they're running shows, working shows. I mean, it's like, it blows my mind.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.